What's up guys, Victor here, and it's time for another nation guide. This one is for the Mamluks, so let's go ahead and get started. And of course, where we're going to start this guide is in the estates and privileges. Now, this is a standard start, which means there's nothing you actually have to grant here in order to play as the Mamluks, but it's still worth granting some of these, and I'll go ahead and cover what I recommend. First, of course, the monarch point generators, because you want to have as much monarch points as you can throughout the game. Second, I do strongly recommend the religious diplomats. You are a Sunni country, and there are a lot of Sunni countries out there, and this will help not only with your expansion, but it'll also help you get allies at the start, which is pretty nice to have. Second, you do start off with 2 vassals, so get the strong duchies if for no other reason than to have even 2 more allies, and then also grant the integration policy, because you are going to be expanding using diplomatic vassalization, so you'll be integrating a lot of people, but even if you choose not to do that for yourself, you still have to integrate at least 2 people. So you might as well pick these up now, just because it'll save you time and get yourself all the allies you need at the start of the game. Finally, I do recommend granting all of the loyalty and influence generators of the Dhimmi that do not require crown land. The reason why is if you can get over 60% loyalty with the Dhimmi, which you can do easily with the privileges at the start, plus supremacy over the crown, then whenever you have them over that 60% threshold, they will give you a tech cost reduction. If you're between 40 and 59% influence, it is a 7.5% reduction in tech cost, which is huge. Now, if you do not give them the 45%, you're under that 40% threshold, it's 5%. So it's not the end of the world, but every monarch point you can save yourself from the tech cost is just that much more you can put into dev pushing the institutions that will be spawning further enough away from you, but closer to the Ottomans, which you are going to have to destroy. Now, while the Ottomans won't be a threat for long, you don't want to be that behind in tech at any point in time. So just go ahead, grant the Dhimmi the privileges here, because it's not going to even slow you down at all, because you have enough loyalty everywhere else where it really doesn't matter, and none of these stop you from converting people or recruiting there or anything else. So just go ahead and grant them now. It'll absolutely pay off in the long run. But with all of that being said, we are now done talking about the estates and privileges. Now let's talk about your military. As far as your army is concerned, take this Cairo army, split it in half, and send one half here to this army, the other half to the other, and then when they get there, merge them together. That's all you need to do with the army, other than hire generals, which I would recommend you hire both your ruler, because this guy is already 72 years old and he's not great. So if he dies fast, you have a new ruler, which might be better, might be worse, but he's not going to live that long anyway, so you might as well get it moving. And then finally, actually recruit a general here. I'm going to go ahead and put these guys in charge, because it really doesn't matter. Lastly, I did realize I forgot to say this before. With the estates, you start off with less than 5% crown lands. Just go somewhere. You have a couple of farm provinces over here. Just drop some admin points there, and that'll get you to 5%. Lastly, we'll come to your navy. As far as your navy is concerned, you'll be building more, but for now, just start up 7 galleys. You have enough income coming in to be able to pay for a couple of more before you actually need them. So don't worry about whether or not you're going to get them in time, because you'll be fine. But with that, your military is set up. The only thing I will say now, though, is before you actually declare on somebody, make certain you have an admiral. They really do matter. So right before you declare, hire an admiral. You'll be fine. With that, military is done. And now let's turn to the rival and starting diplomatic situation that you find yourself in. First off, in all 20 of my test runs that I had as the Mamluks, Kara Kayunlu rivaled me every single time. So go ahead and rival the Ottomans and Kara Kayunlu, and leave the third one blank, because you really don't need a third. Now, as far as your diplomatic start, it's pretty simple. The first person you're going to ally is Medina, period. The second one you're going to ally after you wait a day is Fezzan. And then you're going to ally Dul Qadir, and then once your diplomats come back, you're going to ally Ajam. The reason why is simple. As far as Fezzan is concerned, either you or Tunis is going to make them a subject, and Tunis is likely to ally the Ottomans, who are going to be your big enemy. Why would you let your rival's ally have land? So go ahead and take it yourself, If for no other reason that usually by the time you end up integrating them, they will build their own fort down here, which will slow Tunis down when you're fighting the Ottomans. Medina over here, they have a special reason. You see, once you have Medina as a vassal, you can finish this mission right here, allowing you to merge the Hejaz and Medina subject into one, turning your 2 slots into 1 slot usage. So go ahead and get them as soon as you possibly can. Dulkadir is because the Ottomans have 2 mission tree paths. One is into Europe going through Constantinople, and the other is going through Anatolia, eventually getting claims on you. And you don't want them to have them, and in order for them to get them, they have to take control of Dulkadir's land. So by allying them and eventually making them a vassal as well, which usually won't take that much effort, will allow you to very, very quickly make it so the Ottomans cannot get any claims on you and your land directly, other than maybe 1 or 2 provinces in the north, and of course Dulkadir's land itself, meaning they become shut down in most of their expansion, and you're going to deny them the rest of their expansion. Now, as far as Ajam is concerned, they will help you punch Karakayunlu, and you're going to want to very, very soon. However, right now, all I need to do is wait for my diplomats to come back, because I am waiting for the 12th of December. The reason why is, just like in Radio Rez's guide, in Ludi's guide, and then eventually Red Hawk's guide, which all have the same basic strategy, and I'll try and remember to card all 3 of them at the top here, because I believe credit where credit is due, you are going to no CB Byzantium. The reason why is because you want to stop the Ottomans from being able to expand both in Anatolia and in Europe. If you go through here, you can stop them expanding into the Middle East. That's perfectly easy to do. However, if they continue to expand into Europe, they will keep up with you, and they will maintain equal numbers against you. And the thing is, the Ottomans have better troops than you do, not just in terms of unit pips, but they will usually have better military monarchs than you, meaning they'll usually be ahead of you in military ideas and techs. And then on top of that, they do have the Janissaries, which take less shock damage, meaning you are going to be behind them if you let them expand at all. So by going after Byzantium in a no-CB war, you will be denying them not only a big source of expansion, but a big source of development over here, making them way too weak to actually stand against you. So I know a lot of people do not like no-CB wars, but unfortunately this is the best option. If you want to skip the no-CB war, I will say this: you can still beat the Ottomans, but what you're going to be doing is you're going to expand into this area as quickly as you can, so that way they cannot take this land from you and you can take it. You're going to continue to expand and build up by using vassalage and everything else into Arabia and then down into Ethiopian lands, and only when the League War fires do you come up here and smash the Ottomans, burn as much as you can to the ground, and take as much as you can, especially these 2 tiles. If you can take these 2 provinces during the League War, while all their numbers are busy in Europe, you can deny them the ability to reinforce Anatolia, allowing you to pick them apart, leaving them as an only European power that you can easily dominate, because by then you'll usually have allies in Europe. So that is the alternative to this, because I know if you're like me, you don't like no-CBing. However, if you have no problem with it, you're going to have a whole lot of fun playing as the Mamluks. Now in this case, I'm going to go ahead and declare, because you can absolutely still vassalize people as long as you've allied them beforehand. So go ahead and get started. You might as well get started now. Take your troops and send them over. You don't need any more of a navy, because your navy should outnumber theirs, and just start landing and sieging down their forts. So I'm going to be pausing the recording because I need to be improving relations and everything else. However, while at war with Byzantium, once you have Medina, Fezzan, and Dulkadir as vassals, you actually are going to start a second war, one against Aniza here. The reason why is Fadl has a core on one half of their land, and the other half you're going to be giving to Hejaz once they take over Medina. And that way you'll have a bit more land under your belt, and then once this is done, we'll talk about what to go forward with that. And then lastly, revoke your guarantee on Cyprus. In about 60 years, you'll get an event that gives you a vassal over Cyprus, but you can't really vassalize them until then, so it's just a waste of a slot if you try and keep it now, so you might as well get rid of it so you're not paying an increased cost in your Diplo relation slots. With all of that being said, I'll see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So my total vassal count is now Fezzan, Hejaz, Fadl, Shamar, Dulkadir, and Byzantine Zagreb Shamar right after the war was over. Now, you're going to have some disloyal vassals. This is normal. The reason why is because you have no crown land, so they get drastically increased liberty desire. That will go away the more crown land you get, and you'll get that fairly quickly, so you don't really need to worry about it that much. That being said, now is the time to target the Ottomans. Now, during the war with Byzantium and with Anisa, you're going to be building another 10 galleys, and you are going to be taking out a loan to do so, because you're going to drop them all in the Sea of Marmara. You're going to have an admiral with him. Again, make sure you hire one. And it doesn't matter if he's amazing in combat, as long as you have one that is somewhat okay. If you need to roll another one, do so. You cannot lose the Sea of Marmara. Now, you're going to have your entire army. Nowhere else will you have any other troops. They're all going to be in Constantinople. And the more infantry you have, the better, because you will be seizing the fort of Gallipoli. The moment this starts is the moment you need to make certain that fort falls as quickly as possible. And to help you do so, have the best shock and fire general you have. Nothing else matters, not siege, not maneuver, because with assaults, it actually is a full-on battle, which I'm not sure most people are aware of. So basically, when you come in here and you actually just blast open the fort and siege it down, you want to be able to have a siege or fire guy. The reason why is, while it doesn't show it, it's actually doing dice rolls of both fire and shock. So the more fire and shock resistance you have, as well as general pips, the better off your troops will be sieging this down. This is why the Ottomans are able to assault forts with a lot less casualties, because the Janissaries take less damage. So with this, you're going to just blast this fort down before the Ottomans can come back. Once you've done that, they cannot cross this strait. They are stuck over here. And while that might seem to be a problem, because, well, all of your land is over here, you're going to quickly siege as much of them down as possible before they can siege you down. To do so, absolutely turn on the defensive edicts in as many forts as you can. And just to make certain you do not forget, absolutely do them all throughout the Levant, and take these troops, break them apart, and send them over to start carpet sieging. You really need to get them as quickly as possible to be sieged out. The reason why is, if you look, you already have 10% war score. So you just need to make them want to peace out as quickly as you can. Preferably with Gallipoli, this fort here, and then these two provinces to connect, so you have the entire coastline of Europe except for right here and over here. You're trying to isolate Europe. So I'm going to pause the recording because I have to siege these guys out, but I'll bring you guys back to show you what I recommend doing after that point. See you soon. Hey guys, welcome back. So as you can see, my land is pretty much unscathed, while Dulkadir has taken it like a champ, which is one of the advantages of having them. Namely, the Ottomans will be so focused taking this capital fort that it takes a while for them to actually push into your land, which definitely helps, but it's time to peace out because I don't want to fight this, and I've had enough land in this deal. Now, again, you're not trying to take everything. Don't take everything. Don't try and take everything. It's a waste of time. All you're trying to do is make certain that you will permanently own this strait, and that you take as much other land as you can, including this other fort, so you don't have to deal with it later. Just a piece of advice, though. Do not take Burgas or Edirne. The reason you do not take either is if you completely surround Edirne, they will move their capital over to Anatolia. And there is just too much war score with it being a capital to justify them moving it. You want it to stay in Edirne for as long as it possibly can, because it's such a quick and easy thing to occupy, especially since they can't reinforce it, that it's beneficial to you, even after you get Bulgaria. So leave them this opportunity here, because they'll think, oh, I can still reinforce Edirne, so I won't move it. So leave Burgos alone until you're ready to take both. Now, I'm going to go ahead and piece this out, take a little bit extra money, and this is the most I can take. Unfortunately, I can't take Thessaly. I'm a little short. Hopefully your game goes a little bit easier and you're able to do it, but I'm not able to in this game. Now, again, don't really have a coalition forming, but now it's time to move my armies over here because it's time to take on Karakyunlu. Now what I'm going to do with Karakyunlu is Fadal has a core right over here, and I want to let Fadal have it back. However, if I can get these two provinces in addition, I'll have more people to release, namely Iraq, which has all of this land from here down and then over here. And then in Mosul, there is Sorin, which has a couple of more provinces that I can release. So I'm going to go ahead and get them over there to start that. And in the meantime, I'm going to try and get my crown land a little bit higher so I tap having people that are disloyal. So I'll see you guys in just a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So I'm now done with the Karakyunlu War. I took money from Musashi and Karakyunlu, as well as these four provinces. Hiss and Kaifa usually isn't going to be conquered in this time. However, if they do, go ahead and take it, because that is an Iraqi core. Though they cannot release Iraq independently, you can if you have Sinjar over here, because that is the right culture. Now, after this, I'm going to be just chilling for a bit, because it's time to integrate these guys. Because while some of them are disloyal, namely Byzantium, who will be disloyal for an extremely long time, the rest of these guys aren't at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and integrate Fazan, Hejaz, and Shamar, and then Fadal after a little bit more, because I want to give them the opportunity to core and reduce the autonomy of this, so when I integrate them, not only will the separatism be gone, that just happens automatically, but the autonomy will be lowered too, and they'll be the ones paying the cost for that. So in the meantime, I'm just going to sit here for a little bit and just chill. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention, if you do not want to go through all the diplomatic vassalization, instead of want to do it directly, all you need to do is simply go to Venice, whether they are a rival or not, and simply embargo them. By doing so, you complete this mission, which gives you claims, and you're going to be able to start expanding pretty quickly through these same people. And then after you're done with them, you'll get even more claims down here. So it is still advantageous for you to expand in these directions. However, once you have these, you can start expanding down into the Yemenis area. And then after that, yeah, there's even more. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording because, again, it's time to chill for a little bit. See you guys soon. And welcome back, everybody. So I've been integrating a couple of people, namely Fazan, Dulkadir, and Hejaz down here. And I'm working on Fadal and Shamar. Now, that did free up 2 slots so far for people I could diplo-vassalize. However, instead of diplo-vassalizing anybody, I allied Poland and Austria. Both of these guys will usually ally you because they both hate the Ottomans if you just improve relations with them a bit. Austria will only do it if they end up getting Hungary as a personal union, and Hungary, it's going to depend on whether or not they rival Poland, but Poland alone should be more than enough for this. Basically, once you have Byzantium as a vassal, when you call them in with favors, they'll hand all this land over to you anyway, especially if it's a Byzantine core, allowing you with more than enough war score to end up picking apart European Ottomans, get one other non-Byzantine province up here to release Bulgaria, and then you dominate Europe. Now, the reason why you're doing this is because now, instead of waiting for the Ottoman army to be in Anatolia to blockade the strait, you're waiting for them to be in some dumb war to the north, where you can trap them on the European side of it, where they have to fight the Polish, or hopefully as well, the Austrian armies before they can get back to defend their homeland, leaving your troops in the Middle East completely unchallenged. And as long as you click these 2 missions here, which again really doesn't take very much to get, you'll have permanent claims up here. And the reason why this is so important is because you have enough claims, but on top of that you can release Karaman, who has a ton of cores to reconquer. You have Aretna over here with just as many cores to reconquer, and in the far north you have Kandar with even more, leaving only about a part of this area, the provinces in here, that are not covered by that. And then between Byzantine and Bulgaria up here, you're only dealing with maybe 8 provinces that are true Ottoman provinces, maybe 10, allowing you to just finally conquer them when they're just a minor power completely surrounded by you. So I'm going to go ahead and unpause the recording, get my favors up with Austria and Poland because I don't want to call them in on promise of land, and bring them in and just smash the Ottomans, get them out of the way, so that I can then go and focus on my next target, which is partially Karaköy because I'll have these two subjects, but also down into Ethiopia because they have gold mines. And with gold mines, you won't have to worry about your economy ever again. Though, generally speaking, if you take out Ottomans, you're probably going to have plenty of economy anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording. I'll see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So I just got done with a rather large war against Karaköy, where I didn't even get anything, because Ajam declared it and then got themselves stack wiped 3 whole times, meaning I'm the one that had to go in there and occupy all their forts, including Tabriz, their capital mountain fort, and then I got nothing. I didn't even get a ducat for it, which was tons of fun for half my manpower being lost. And I was saving that to attack the Ottomans, but it's time to attack the Ottomans anyway. Now, they are at war on the Anatolian side, which is not preferential, but it can happen. And I do have the Austrians and Polish willing to come in, but Austria did do what they do about half the time, and they allied France, and what they do about all the time, they allied Tunis, which is why my forces are down here. As far as Tunis is concerned, your whole goal is to rush in here as quickly as you can and knock them out of the war. They really don't take a whole lot to knock out. You just have to siege down a couple of forts. You might have to move your navy over to blast one open, namely their capital, and then move back, but you should be fine. Now, as far as France is concerned, one of two things is going to happen. Either one, they're going to head north to fight Poland and Austria directly. If this happens, it's fine. As long as the Ottomans can't come in here and pincer them, the Polish and Austrians are usually capable of fighting France. However, they can also take their armies and head south, cross over the strait to help Tunis, which is a much bigger problem. Now, you can blockade this strait. The problem is that usually you're going to be so far away from anything that you own, you can't maintain it until you've occupied Tunis. And unfortunately, they have enough forts to stop you from very quickly getting over here to get some range. So if you want to do that, you can, but you might have too weak of ships to actually survive an engagement, and it's very risky. If Granada is still around and they are not allied to Tunis, perfect. They usually will not give anybody access if they really like you. In this case, they're allied to Tunis, so I'll probably try and break that since I am a great power, but it's not going to work. So I'm going to have to take the risk that France is heading south, and I'm going to declare on the Ottomans and hope that the Austrians and Polish are competent enough to actually handle this. They should be, but they also might not, and I'm going to make something over here the war goal, specifically because I want them to be able to come over here and handle this for me, because they generally should be able to handle it. But I'll see you guys in a little bit, because I need to actually have this happen, and I'll go ahead and leave it as a reconquest of Arta. See you guys soon. And welcome back, everybody. So what ended up happening was the Austrians and Polish abandoned their countries to completely siege out the Ottomans. The problem is that by doing so, France was able to walk into their countries and piece them out, meaning it was me alone versus the French and the Ottomans, because I had pieced out Tunis by then, so I took what I could. And basically that means I was not able to get a Bulgarian province up here, which I really, really wanted. Now, the reason why is because I'm done with Byzantium. They have everything that I was going to give them, because I'm not giving them these 2 provinces, and I'll get into why. But basically, I wanted to have a Bulgarian country I can release up here, and a Karaman nation I can release over here, and I had to just settle for Karaman. Here's why. Basically, you do not take these 2 provinces until they're the last 2 in Europe. The reason why is the Ottomans will leave their capital in Edirne so long as it's not the last province in a state. Pretty simple. And by taking Burgos, they will move it from Edirne, which is a grasslands level 1 fort, so quickly and easily breachable, to Ankara, which is a highlands fort, so yeah, it's harder for you to actually get, they will attack you on it, and it's a level siege, so it takes even longer. So you don't want to be dealing with that. Instead, you want to be able to knock this out quickly, because when you're actually looking at a peace deal, and you look down at the reasons why they will accept or decline, If you do not control their capital, they have 10 reasons to refuse you. If you do control their capital, they have 10 reasons to accept it. So you want to have that 20 reasons shift just by taking a quick capital. So leave them in Edirne. By taking Bulgaria, however, and releasing them, you're able to get every other province in Europe, save this one, which is Albanian, and Edirne itself, which you can just conquer directly, because even Burgas is a Bulgarian core, meaning you're able to get it pretty easily. Now, as far as Karaman here, that's a bunch of cores over there that you can reconquer, as I pointed out before. And that's all you're doing with the Ottomans. Control the strait, and then whenever they're having all their armies over here in Anatolia, make the war goal in Europe, because you'll get ticking war score, and you'll be able to blitz it down quickly. If, however, they're fighting somebody in Europe, say Venice, that's when you attack them in Anatolia, because they won't be able to come back and reinforce it in time. And then once they're out of Europe, their actual troop size is pretty low, meaning you're going to be able to very, very quickly, especially if you get quantity ideas, so far outnumber them, you won't need an ally. The only time you'll need Austria or Poland is if they are allied to France, and trust me, these two can handle France if they actually tried, because in my game they really didn't. Now, after you're done with the Ottomans, it's pretty simple in your expansion paths. You got some guys over here you can use to reconquer of Iraq and Saran down here, and then eventually you'll have Basra if you really want to go for it. Now, up here to the north, you have Georgia, which will usually take a vassalization once you get large enough, as you can see here, though it is a bit more difficult to get it unless you border them. Samske is also an option. Armenia is somebody you can usually release, but they usually won't accept it diplomatically. So being able to conquer their lands and give it to Georgia is definitely nice. As far as the south, you have a bunch of guys down here that will accept diplomatic vassalization, and even when they don't, they kinda will. Ethiopia you direct conquer, and then the guys down here, once you border them, they're also people you can usually get to become diplomatic vassalizations, allowing you to just keep expanding south while you're fighting somebody like Ajam or Timurids over here. You can just keep peacefully expanding through the Horn of Africa. As far as the Arabian Peninsula is concerned, you'll have people with strong economies that say no, such as Yemen or Hormuz, unless they get completely blitzed down by somebody else, such as Oman, who will absolutely go after them because, well, Oman has cores on them. And if you help Oman get those cores back, then Hormuz will usually accept it, just like us will right here, just because they're weak and you can get their cores back for them, and they'll usually accept that, leaving you to pretty much be able to dominate most of the Arabian Peninsula without a whole lot of conquering. And for those that do refuse you, you get permanent claims on, allowing you to just conquer them without a whole lot of difficulty, because even Yemen, or Rasids, which usually win this area, they're not that threatening to you long term. Just the mountain forts are kind of annoying. And then finally, when you get done with Ajam, you're going to break with them, you're going to take their land, and then you're going to go through the Timurids, and on and on and on towards the east, however much you want. As far as Tunis is concerned, usually they're going to get picked apart. Once they lose the Ottomans as a buffer to keep the Spanish from attacking them, the Spanish will attack them. And in that case, you can actually diplo-vassalize them and reconquer all of their cores, or, if you choose to in the beginning of the game, you can go after the three little guys over here, and then use this splendor bonus to try and steal Morocco's vassals from them, leaving you the pretty much sole owner of North Africa, and be able to just dunk on people moving forward from there. But with all of that being said, you have a lot of options as the Mamluks to either, from this point, continue playing tall once you're done with the Ottomans, or go exploration, go to the Spice Islands and Australia and bring all the trade towards you, or just start rapidly conquering in all directions, because there's nothing to stop you from both expanding through conquest and diplo-vassalization in multiple directions. So you might as well do it.
Hey guys, Victor here from the future. So apparently my mic picked up some funky noises while recording, and, well, I still don't fully know what I'm doing with the editing software, so instead of trying to figure that out, I figured I'd just come back here and give a proper send-off without funky noises. So if you guys like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I am not going anywhere, and if you enjoy it, you might as well subscribe, because I'm going to be making a whole lot more. If you want me to make a particular country, let me know in a comment below. I actually finished recording my Epirus guide, so the only thing I have left actually on the list that you guys have requested thus far is Navarra, which I'm still trying to work out, as well as Georgia. So if you want to see anything other than those, you're kind of just leaving it up to me to make that decision. So let me know what you guys want to see, otherwise you're seeing whatever I decide. But with all of that being said, thank y'all for watching. I hope y'all have a wonderful day.